Welcome to the Time Management Podcast with me, your host, Abigail Barnes. I'm a productivity coach, global speaker, time management author, and award-winning entrepreneur on a mission to share the 888 formula with the world and to remind you that it's your time. Leave it to me to bring you new time management tips, tricks, tools, and strategies, to introduce you to guests, research, and case studies from around the world, and to give you a simple 5-step process you can follow to uplevel your productivity, achieve your goals, and create a life that exceeds your wildest dreams. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Welcome to the show. We've got something slightly different with this episode this week. My guest and I met at an event I was invited to speak at earlier this year. And in this episode, they share what happened as a result of the takeaways they took from that talk that I delivered. And then from the 7-day time audit challenge, where they did the Find Your Missing Hour 7-day time audit challenge with me and the group online. I cannot wait for you to hear it. Let's dive in. So I am so delighted today to be joined by special guest Gerard Francis, somebody I met at a recent event. I was asked to speak about how to maximize your time to create the successful life that you want. Gerard, welcome to the show.
Hello, good to see you again.
Let's dive straight in. Tell us why you attended that event.
I network regularly. At that time, I was in the place of chilling my diary, getting out and about as much as I could. I was on autopilot, really. It was another event I wanted to attend. I knew it would be well attended. I knew there'd be lots of people there that I'd want to speak to. I didn't pay much attention to the speaker, but I knew I had to network and just went out, booked it. So it was kind of by chance, really, that I sort of first showed up, just trying to network. And yeah, it was transformational. So that's where the journey started.
I love that. And to give the audience some context, who is Gerard Francis?
I run a small business, a recruitment agency, a very busy environment based in Colchester. I'm called Lighthouse Personnel, which is myself and my wife's business. Recruitment's a very busy sector, as you can imagine. My wife works in it with me. We've got 3 young kids, so weekends are busy. I also do some volunteering, so I do some football coaching for my son's football team. We're also both active members of a local church. We do some helping out there. I volunteer at a youth group occasionally as well and do lots of stuff with schools. So life for us is very busy and very fast paced. We're very value based. We like building good relationships. Ideally, we like to try and think we live life well, but sometimes we can go off track a little bit as well. And I think that was a little bit obviously where I was at when I attended the event.
You went to this event to meet and network with other people. Anything else that you were looking to get clarity on that was going on for you in your life at that time?
We were saying where we were at. We were sort of talking regularly, myself and Rosie, about feeling like we're sort of in this river that's just rapidly flowing at the moment, and we're not really in control. We know we're heading in a direction, but we're being dragged by the current. We're not really like steering the ship. We're just almost in the foam of the river, just being carried and bumbling along and tossed and turned and just letting the river take us wherever it's going to go. No real kind of direction, really, just sort of going with it. I wasn't looking for something, but I definitely found something being at the talk, and it spurred me on a bit of a journey which has been pretty transformational for me over the last few months, and I'm really hoping that that's going to continue and starting to feel a bit like we're taking the reins a little bit and maybe starting to float and bob along a bit better, and maybe turned off the current to slow down a little bit, which has been really great. That's where we were at the time when I turned up, and I think the event, there was some sort of conversations we'd had that week as well, just the two of us, that things are too quick at the moment. We're taking on too much. I remember saying to Rose, like, if anything bad was to come up that we'd have to deal with, how would we cope? Additionally, in terms of just trying to keep the fast-paced nature of our lives, if anything else was to come up, I think we'd be struggling a little bit at that moment. And then listening to the talk just really hit home.
What were the biggest things that you took away from the talk?
Your journey and sort of where you're living that fast lifestyle, that working long hours. I'm definitely not one of these that I've never aspired to the hustle culture. It's not something that I'm like, I really want to be I want to hustle and I want to work every hour under the sun, but I'm very duty bound. And I've always felt running a small business, you are a bit of a victim of the busyness. You sort of go with it. I've tried to get into the habits of recognizing when we're busy, that we're busy and I just have to work long hours. And then when we're quiet, I probably need to actually, rather than throw myself into busyness to try and deal with it, I should probably slow down. But is that happening in reality? I wouldn't have said so. Well, it has been now. but it definitely wasn't at that point in time. And the bits I took away, so sort of seeing your journey hit home a bit similar. I've been in a very busy place, working very long days. The way we were describing our days was back to back to back to back. And then we get to the weekend and 9 a.m. is football for 3 kids in 3 different locations. There's only 2 of us. 10 a.m. is acting school for the daughter in another place. And so work was like that during the week. Weekends are like that. And then, afternoons are the same. And so it was just constant. And then you mentioned about the 888 formula and about actually how you look at it. 8 hours sleep a day, 8 hours work, 8 hours to yourself. I was like, that's not me at the moment. Definitely not where I've been living. So I was like, I should probably look at my life a little bit like that and try and think, where are my 8 hours for myself and how can I protect them, find them and protect them? And then you also mentioned about getting up and having regular breaks during your day and stopping one task and coming away and having a breather and giving yourself 8 minutes to get up, move around, focus on something else to then go back and reset and hit that task again. And that was something that brought in immediately. So those were the bits that hit home. You'd also talked a lot about the time tracker. And I'll be honest with you, at the event, I thought, I'd love to do that. I need that right now, but I haven't got the time. Like, I'm too busy to even focus on it. Like, I haven't got the time to do it. But I thought after the event, I'll reach out to you. I'll push myself. If we book it in, you'll probably say, I can't do right now. Let's do it in a couple of weeks. And that gives me a bit of time to see if I can find the time to do it. So I thought, let's at least follow up and try and have a conversation, because I think it's something that would be really useful for me. And why I then messaged you and went from there. That's where I was. And that's what I took from it at that point.
Thank you for being so honest and so vulnerable. To summarize what I'm hearing you say, you were attending the event aware that things needed to change. And then you heard me say 3 things that were the catalyst for you taking action off the back of that talk. Number 1 was that you reviewed everything that you were doing, looked at what made sense, what didn't make sense, and perhaps thinking about this whole, maybe there's stuff we need to say no to, maybe there's stuff we need to reorganize. Number 2 was that 888 formula and identifying, I don't have a life in all of this. Everybody else seems to have a life, but where is my life? And then number 3 really was around how you actually structure your day on a day-to-day basis. I love that these were things that you practically took away from that 40-minute talk and have been able to implement in your life. Talk to us now about implementing those into your life. What does that look like?
Just one little bit to add in there is, off the back of the talk, I was recognising to making change, and the instant things I said, I was like, I'm going to take a break during my day. Doing video call after video call, and sometimes it's 10, 30-minute video calls in a day. And then there's meetings and I'm on the road and I'm dealing with other stuff as it's coming up, reactive stuff as well, and booking interviews, and it's constant. I enforced myself to take those 8-minute breaks. That was the first thing that I did, and booked the call with you and was like, right, I'll get that in motion to do the 7-day tracker and to have a conversation with you. And over those few weeks that followed, I was sort of making those little tweaks in there and noticing a little bit of a difference. And we went away, I think it was only a couple of weeks after your talk, we have a church away weekend that we go to where we get to go and reflect and hit and miss as to whether I was going to go, because actually we had 4 things on that weekend. My wife was going to go with 2 of the kids and I was going to stay at home with one of them, and because there was about 4 things that we were committed to. But I was like, no, I really need to go, because I know I need to change. I probably need to reflect right now. The talk had hit home, and I went away and I reflected, and it all was adding up. It was like, I really need to make big changes here. I really need to shift this. I really need to bring these breaks in. I really need to slow up. I really need to take ownership of my 8 hours a day. And so off the back of that, I started reading a book as well, which is called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It is a Christian book, but it talks about slowing down, and it echoed a lot of the stuff that you were saying as well. So echoed saying no to stuff, and if you say yes to something, you're saying 1,000 no's to other things that you could be doing. Similar to the stuff you were talking about technology and our addiction to technology and how that's unhealthy. And so again, everything was just all adding up for me, and I started doing things like, I've changed my phone screen to grayscale. My phone is less appealing to my mind, which has made me not want to look at it as much. I've been putting my phone out of my bedroom at night, so I'm not sleeping next to my phone, because I found that in the middle of the night, if I got up to go to the toilet, before I'd go back to sleep, I'd even check my phone, look at my emails, just as habit and just refreshing. And who's going to contact you at 3 a.m? And if they are, it's probably not a nice email. So what am I doing? Checking it before I go to sleep, checking it as soon as I get up. So I took that out of my room, started getting out in the garden with my son. First thing I do in the morning is I wake up, I don't go downstairs and check my phone. I go out in the garden. Quite often one of the kids will join me, sit in silence, pause, focus on some breathing techniques for a couple of minutes, just slow everything down, let my brain catch up and want to start the day before I go mad and get into the river, before I get my toe in. That's been really, really helpful. So over those then few weeks, just adding in extra bits, saying no to stuff like you said, looking at long-term bits as well, like where can I put my commitments? I've actually stepped away from a few commitments personally and at work that were good. I enjoyed the commitments, but I needed to get some balance back. I needed to look at my whole week and go, right, okay, where can I take some time back as well? So all these things just added together really, really nicely. And that then came to the point where obviously you and I then had a conversation, a follow up. And at that point where I was looking at everything and going, right, and taking out and taking my time back. And then we had the conversation and started talking about the 7-day tracker.
So you attend the session, you leave, you take practical action off the back of hearing my talk.
Yep.
And then we start talking about Find Your Missing Hour, the brand new 7-day challenge that I launched. You signed up to do this. Talk to us about what the biggest thing is that you discovered from doing this 7-day time audit challenge.
Yeah, so I had the time to do it. And I actually think even if I'd have still been in the busyness, I'd have still had the time to do it, because the way I did it was I didn't every half an hour go on the spreadsheet. I knew what my diary was like for the day because I'm quite organised in that sense anyway. So in the morning, the first thing I'd do is I got into the office, I turned on my laptop, I've done my half an hour in the morning in the garden reflecting, I've got ready for work, I'm now at work, I know that I've got these calls, I've got this meeting, I know how long that's going to take. So bulk it, so I'm probably at sort of 9, half 9, fill it in a bit, and then I'd fill it in sort of mid-afternoon and just check that everything I had done in the morning was accurate and that is how it went. And then I'd probably do it again once before I'd go to bed and again just check that everything was accurate and all the rest of it. And it was really simple. Obviously, when I was in the thick of the busyness, I was thinking, this is going to be really hard to do. But no, just those times took 15 minutes max. It wasn't something that took me, I didn't spend an hour on it all the time, and it wasn't breaking up my day. It was easy to manage and put in. So I think if anyone's feeling that sort of fear of, I can't do that, I haven't got the time, it doesn't take a lot of time to fit it in accurately. So with that, as I was doing it, and I did it, the whole 7 days, I kept going. It was really nice for me because it was showing me all the things that I've put in over the last few months. A networking event that I attended was just over 2 months ago. The away weekend was even 6 or 7 weeks ago. We met 4 weeks ago. I started the tracker 2 weeks ago. So it's been over a good prolonged period of time. These changes have now been coming in. And then the tracker was just showing me, I was so chuffed with where I'm at and how different it looked now to how it would have looked if I'd have done it then. And it was confirmation of all the stuff that's been brought in, the journey that started at your talk that inspired me to think I've got to change things. I need to get out of this river that I'm rushing in and I don't have any control over, and take back a bit of control, focus on me, for the kids, for me. Very much that was a big realization of, if I don't sort something out, I could damage my health. And if I damage my health, what's that going to do for the kids? What's that going to do for my wife? I need to make these changes because it's not good at the moment. And the tracker actually was real affirmation for me. If I'm on the right journey now, I'm heading in the right direction. Definitely don't feel like I'm perfect. I feel like I've got it good at the moment. I feel much, much better. I feel that the phone stuff's been really helpful, taking the regular breaks throughout the day. I've actually started taking time back. So, for example, Wednesday this week, I was at an event I had to drive to in the morning. I was also at an event that went into the evening, all work-based. So in the middle of the day, I went to the gym. I took some time back. I'd carved time out to look after myself and just get my balance back. And actually then what happened is the evening was a great event. And I didn't turn up to the event exhausted and not able to cope. I turned up to the event a bit more refreshed and a bit more active and ready to be at the event and ready to make the most of the event. And again, it's just making those conscious decisions of where's my time going and what's happening with my time, the time that's for me. And so I'm making sure I take my time back regularly as well. And that's feeling so much better than where I was at before, I think.
How specifically did you audit your time? This is a question that comes up for people who are unsure about how to get started.
So specifically how I filled it in as I was going through it was looking at that diary, looking at the video calls that I had and going, right, okay, I know I've got one at 9:30 and 10, so they were already nicely bulked. I know after that I've got a team meeting from then to then. So when I was in the morning, I was then filling in those half an hour slots and going, right, I know that's coming up. Then when I'd go in the afternoon, I'd look back over that and I'd go, is that actually what happened? Or did the team meeting overrun? Did the calls overrun? And then looked at the afternoon. What am I doing for the rest of the afternoon and the evening? right, it looks like this. And then in the afternoon, just going back over that. And at each moment, what was really nice is looking back over my time, as I say, at the moment and going, right, okay, actually my mornings are so much better now. To be honest with you, I was getting up beforehand and turning my laptop on before I'd got out of bed. I'd lean over and grab my laptop and pull it out. Whereas now I'm not. I'm getting up, I'm going outside, I'm relaxing, I'm spending quality time with one of the kids. I'm reflecting on the day I've just had, on the day I've got ahead. I was looking back over that tracker. I think if I'd have been looking at it before, I'd be going, why am I looking at my laptop in the morning? Why am I looking at it as the first thing I do? Whereas now I'm looking at it and going, I'm so chuffed I've stopped doing that. And again, when I then did the reflection piece at the end of the week that we do, and I sent you my notes, and there were still some minimal changes that we think we could make. I noticed we had quite a bit of TV in the evenings, but it was a particularly busy TV week because I said to the kids, right, when the little one's going to bed, me and the older two are going to spend some time watching some TV together. So it's still actually quite nice, but it is something perhaps reducing a bit of that later night TV. I'd say me and Rose could probably get to bed a bit earlier and have a bit better sleep if we weren't watching an exciting TV show as the last thing we do before bed. So there's still, it wasn't like I didn't look at the tracker and go, everything's perfect, as I say. It was so nice to see where it is compared to where it was. But there were still some bits, things like, there was actually quite a bit of TV in there. I'd noticed that my phone usage has dropped, and off the back of the time tracker I could see. And then I looked back at my screen time on my phone compared to a few weeks before and how my phone time had naturally dropped as well. So that was quite nice, reviewing the phone time. And I could imagine if I'd have been really busy on my phone time, I'd have looked at it and gone, oh, hang on a minute, there's quite a lot that I'm on my phone. But because it's reduced significantly, it was quite, again, nice affirmation that the changes are in the right direction. But the self-reflective stuff, yeah, looking back at those bits. And also still, I noticed as well, just looking back, I spent a lot of time on the road. And whereas before, I was pumping my music up loud because I liked driving and switching off in that way. Whereas now, while I've been driving over the last few weeks, I've been listening to podcasts. I've had music on quiet or tone just to slow things down a little bit again, let my brain catch up with my time. And actually, rather than just following that habit of doing the same old where it's not working, actually doing something different and something productive, even while I'm driving, to have that as my own time. And that's also been really useful as well. So, yeah, it was nice to look back.
One of the biggest things that comes up when I speak to clients is around how they actually track their time when they're doing their 7-day time audit. What I'm hearing you say is that you used your calendar, and in using your calendar, you also checked and reflected on it, which I think is a fantastic example for people who are struggling to work out how to actually practically audit their time. Because it may be that you're already using your calendar for your day-to-day job. So just extending the usage of it. And this is exactly how I track my time. If a meeting was longer than it was in my calendar, I just extend that so that then looking back, I can start to see how much longer I have been spending on projects rather than the allocated time that was available for it. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you also for sharing your incredible reflections and the micro adjustments that you have been able to make. I love hearing that the way that you have gone through the process, as in you attended a talk, you were activated by something I said, then you tracked your time, and it has helped you to clarify that what you were implementing is working. And then now you're in this fantastic position of being able to then observe the next level things of, well, perhaps less TV or perhaps less of this kind of TV at this time of day. So I'm not stimulating my brain so that then when I'm going to bed, I can go to sleep. I've started to implement similar things, and going to bed and reading a couple of pages of a book before I go to sleep. When I track my sleep, I've noticed that it is a different quality of sleep that my sleep tracker is telling me. And I just love that now we're talking about refinement and how to maximize our energy, which is linked to the time that we have.
There was one other thing that I should mention to help with people with auditing their time as well, is that I did it that way. My wife did it by printing off the Excel spreadsheet each day, because she was doing it with me, and she printed it off and hand wrote it. So it was just in front of her all the time. And she found that the actual bit of doing it, that was her way of doing it, which was different to mine. And, you know, I could see how that worked. I had FOMO. I felt like perhaps I should do it like that. But actually what I was doing was working, as I said. So I was chuffed by the end looking back. But I thought that would be useful as well for people who you can print it out and do it as you go and just have it on your desk or have it on your kitchen top or whatever works for you. And that seemed like a nice way of doing it as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for adding that. And I think it's an important point for people to note that we're not all the same. We don't all do it in exactly the same way. And that doesn't make your way right and my way wrong. It means that we are aware of what actually works for us. And I know some people who actually print it out as well as then using the Excel spreadsheet and using their calendar, because that's what they like to do. And some people want to create a pie chart at the end of it. They like to see visually in a pie chart what their 888 actually looks like. And for the listener, obviously Gerard is an entrepreneur, and the 8 hours of work when it's your own business is something that, depending on times and seasons, is going to be quite highly impractical. The formula is there to help you to recognize where things are out of balance so that you can make the changes for you, for your circumstances, and for your particular life. I think it's so important that I make the point. It is not a prescription saying this is the perfect way. And if you don't do it like this, then you are wrong, which is something that people have said to me in the past. Abigail, I love it, but theoretically applying it to my own life is impractical. It's a starting point. And what I'm hearing you say is that you used it as a starting point to then identify, I don't really have a life. There isn't really time for me. But when I go to the gym, before I go to a networking event, I go into that room with better energy. And as we know in life, energy is the exchange that people actually want to experience from us. Gerard, what would you say to somebody thinking about doing a time audit? Maybe they've bought my book, maybe they've heard me talk about it, but they're thinking about it. And also perhaps they're saying, I don't have time.
Like I said, I mean, it's just that whole journey I've been through, from going back to that initial meeting when I turned up, and honestly, it was like, I really need to change. And everyone at the table said how great the talk was, and look, they've realised bits. But I sat quietly and I was like, I really need to change. So I ain't got the time. And then lo and behold, I have had the time, and it wasn't anywhere near as difficult. Anyone who's sitting in that situation, who's in that seat like I was, that's like, I'm going to burn out. What's that say to your kids? All that sort of stuff. You need to look after yourself before it's too late, or before you have to, because of some particular reason that you come across or something happens. So if you're in that situation, I'd book yourself a call. I'd reach out to yourself, Abigail, like I did. I thought, I need to do this. So I'm just going to book it in, because I know it'll probably be booked in a couple of weeks, and then I can deal with it then. If it's in my diary, it will happen. Just put it in your diary, get it in, even for a couple of weeks, and crack on and do it. And do it not with resentment. I haven't got the time for this. Do it with an open mind, open heart even, because it's for you really. And if you can't look after yourself, you can't run a business. You can't be there for your spouse. You can't look after your kids. And I think I'm definitely not here going, oh my word, like everything I'm doing is perfect. This has been 2 months. I'm at the point I really want to make sure this stays in now. I'm making sure, I'm getting up in the morning, I think, I can't bother to go in the garden today, or I feel really drawn to looking at my phone. I'm like, no, get out there, do it, and become more habit. And I think I just want to make sure that stays in for me. But you've got to be done. Book it in your diary, get it in, make it start happening. And do it willingly, because I think at the moment for me it's so worth it, and I really feel like this is something that I'm going to keep in place, getting those habits in, changing, making those changes that need to be made long term so that I can have the balance. And I'll be honest with you, I do not feel behind on my work. I actually feel like the work that I'm doing since is actually much better quality. I'm not just saying yes to everything just to fill my diary. I'm not just booking in, I'm picking good events to go to. I'm booking in good calls. I'm spending the right time with the kids. I don't feel like everything's gone off the boil or I've slowed down. We've got more roles on at the moment than we had when I came to that networking event. Effectively, I'm busier, but I'm not. And so I'm just taking it from a different stance, keeping my time in there, and it's manageable.
I love that. What impact would you say attending my session at that event has had on your business and your life?
Yeah, I've said to my colleague, because monkey see, monkey do in that sense, I probably set the pace, and that's not good for my colleagues in terms of how they do things. And so I've been saying to them, take a break. The other day, one of my colleagues was saying, I'm so busy, I've got so much to do, I'm really, really struggling here. And I was like, look, take a break. And, they were like, no, I've just got to plough. And I was like, no, take a break, go have a walk, go get yourself out. All right, I've got to have some lunch. And then seeing him come back and just a different look on his face and just having that step. And I think, so it's not just had an effect on me and where I'm at. And I feel great. I feel so much better. I was saying to Rose, I was out picking up one of the kids from a club and people were talking to me the other day. And before I was rushing everywhere and I'd just fill silences, just make sure I filled them with speech. I was trying to, talk more and actually I've found myself able to reflect and not actually just rush and fill silence with noise just for the sake of it. I'm more reflective. I'm more measured, and that's been great. I'm really chuffed that my mind's slowed down and I'm able to focus. And my wife, who's obviously been part of this journey for me, it's now helping her as well. Like I said, she got involved. She has also started making little changes. She actually came out in the garden with me this morning, so we had a cup of tea together in the garden at 7 a.m. this morning. We sat out there chatting, a bit warm. And as I said, colleagues, I've been speaking to people about it around me, just sharing what I've been up to and the positive effect, and people have been resonating with it as well. So it's not just been me, it's been my family. The kids have benefited. My son coming out with me, he was going, I really need to get ready, I'm rushing. I was like, look, you've got time, all right, you've still got this window. It's not just been me, there's been a knock-on effect. And also then obviously if I'm calmer, I'm not as reactive to if the kids are misbehaving or if something negative happens at work, like having to deal with something. Just been getting it all from a better state, and generally my mind feels so much slower, as in it's not on the go. There's not 25 tabs open in there. There's 3 and I can digest each 3 and pull them apart. And as I say, able to cope with the work that I've got. It's not like I'm now not coping or letting anything slip. I'm still on it. I'm working with more roles, but more effectively. It's been hugely transformational journey over the last two and a bit months.
I love that. What I'm really hearing you say is that it's helped you be more present. It's helped you be more focused. It's helped you become a better leader. And as you're saying, people are noticing how you're leading, and then you're able to influence them from the point of view of you're practicing what you preach.
Definitely. That's a good summary.
Is there anything else you would like to add to this conversation today to call it complete?
Just the message of do it. Like if you're hearing what I'm saying and you were feeling, and I know so many business owners do feel like that. And it's a culture we forced ourselves into. The book that I read that I mentioned earlier, it talked about our attention span now as humans. Before the digital age, our attention span was like 11 or 12 seconds or something like that. And now, since the digital age and what phones have done to our brains, is it's now 7 seconds. And our attention span is now less than a goldfish. And I honestly feel like since starting this journey and reducing things like my phone usage and actually getting a break, I've actually got some of my attention span back. I'm able to focus more. And I'd like to hope now that my attention span is longer than a goldfish is. So I suppose for other people, if they want to feel like that as well, begin the journey, get on it. And it's so worthwhile. I feel so much better. And I'll be honest with you, I feel really protective now of making sure I hang on to this. And I want to get rid of more of my phone and just be present in the moment. Again, more of the stuff, more of those bits that you mentioned there to summarize. I want more of that now. Yes, to still be successful. Yes, to still do my job well, but from a more calculated, measured perspective, I suppose.
Gerard Francis, thank you so much for your time, for coming on the show, for sharing with us, and for being the proof that we all need, that it is about just taking the actions and it's possible.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you so much as well for not just the talk, but the support, the ongoing support, the ideas. It's lit a fire that's being carried now, and I'll be shouting about it as well because it's been so good for me. So I really appreciate it, Abigail, as well. Thank you so much for sparking that fire in me.
And until next time, my friends, stay safe, stay well, and do remember, it is your time. Welcome back. If you would like to do your own 7-day time audit challenge, all the links are in the show notes. You can do that on demand or join the wait list to join our next accountability group that we are going to be running in October 2025. Any questions that you have, you can reach out to inquiries@successbydesigntraining.com. I would love to speak to you. If you would like to work with me one-to-one, book me to speak at your next event, deliver training for your team, you can also email us at inquiries@successbydesigntraining.com. All the links are in the show notes below. Until next time, my friend, stay safe, stay well, and remember, it's your time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to let me know by leaving a review so I can keep the good stuff coming. Come and say hi on Instagram at Success by Design Training, or visit my website successbydesigntraining.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Abigail Barnes. Until next time, don't forget, you are amazing and it's your time.